Hi, my name is Jim Furman. I'm president of the National Council on Aging. In my job, I have the privilege of traveling around the country and meeting professionals like you who have dedicated their lives to helping older people and their families. And wherever I go, I hear the same things. There's not enough money. The Older Americans Act isn't keeping up with the growing need. Federal, state, and county funds are being slashed. United Way giving is down. Foundation grants are harder and harder to get. There's a shortage of funding that is getting worse every day. My mission today is to convince you that this pervasive belief in scarcity is an illusion and it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. In fact, there is a cornucopia of resources, an abundance of assets available to your organization today. In the economics of scarcity, the common belief is that resources are finite, limited, and usually scarce. In other words, wealth equals resources. How much gold, land, money, or cattle determines your wealth. Most of us don't even realize how ingrained this belief in scarcity is in our thinking and how limiting it is. In the economics of abundance, resources may be unlimited. In other words, wealth equals resources times technology to the nth power. This means wealth is determined by whatever you can imagine as a resource and put to use. Technology here just doesn't mean high-tech application. It is defined as what we do with our resources, how we leverage them to further our mission. How can we use the economics of abundance to thrive? The story of the whales gives us some telling insights. From the 13th century to the Industrial Revolution, a significant part of the world's economy depended on the whaling industry. They turned the blubber from whales into oil for lighting and heating homes, the sperm for candles and lubricants, and the whalebone to create artistic carvings and corsets. Some of the early U.S. settlements, particularly in New England, depended almost entirely on whaling. However, the supply of whales diminished rapidly as a result of the U.S. harvesting over 10,000 per year in the North Atlantic, and some species were approaching extinction. The world was facing its first energy crisis. Doomsayers were predicting economic catastrophe for the workforce and for the society that depended on whale oil. But what happened? In 1859, Edward Drake drilled the first successful oil well, ushering in the modern petroleum age. A resource previously ignored as black goo became invaluable because we recognized it as a resource, figured out how to get it, and what to do with it. Today, we once again are facing an energy crisis. But rather than just obsessing about oil or whales, the government and the private sector is investing billions in wind, solar, geothermal, nuclear, and other sources. Let's be creative about what we think is a resource and how we apply it to further our goals. This is the essence of the economics of abundance. So why is a guy from the National Council on Aging talking about whales? The fact of the matter is, the Older Americans Act, state and county funding, United Way are the whales of aging services and programs. Don't get me wrong, whales are very important. We need to save the whales and preserve them. But we also have to realize that our real future is not in whales, but it's in other sources of revenues and assets that can support our growth. On the NCOA website, you will see a dozen sources of millions or even billions of dollars of funding for aging services and programs. And we also provide you practical information about strategies and tactics for tapping into these resources. But we don't have all the answers at NCOA. That's why we are inviting you to join us in this movement to share your knowledge, your experiences, your insights, what's worked and what hasn't worked, so that collectively we can learn how to tap into these resources, create organizational abundance for you, for the Aging Network, and in the process, improve the lives of millions of older Americans.